The classroom was cold and sterile, just like every other room on the Galactic Academy station. Minho Kim sat in the third row, his datapad open in front of him. He was trying to finish his assignment from the previous class, not really paying attention to Professor Taven at the front of the room. Taven was a Centaurian, tall and thin with green skin and 2 long antennae that moved when he talked. Today he seemed more excited than usual. He was preparing something on the main display screen, his 6 fingers dancing across the controls. "Students, please give me your attention," Taven said, his voice carrying a slight musical tone that all Centaurians had. "Today we begin the most important module of this course, predator recognition and survival." Around Minho, the other students shifted in their seats. Some looked nervous. Nira, a Delphian girl who sat 2 seats away, changed colors slightly. Her skin went from blue to a pale green. That meant she was worried. Delphians always showed their emotions through their skin. Krell, the Thexian student in front of Minho, made his armor plates lock together with a soft, clicking sound. He was basically a walking tank, but even he seemed uncomfortable with this topic. "I know many of you find this module disturbing," Taven continued, "but you must understand. The galaxy is vast. There are thousands of worlds we have not fully explored. On any expedition, on any survey mission, you might encounter a predator species. Knowing their calls, their hunting patterns, their behaviors could save your life." Minho finally closed his datapad and looked up. This actually sounded interesting. Back on Earth, he had grown up in the mountains of the Pacific Northwest. He knew about predators, bears, wolves, cougars. His dad had taught him about all of them. "Today we will start with ambush predators," Taven said. "These are the most dangerous type. They hide and wait. They strike without warning. Many species in the galaxy have no defense against such tactics because their worlds never evolved these kinds of hunters." The professor dimmed the lights in the classroom. On the screen, text appeared. Class 7 Ambush Predator. Origin, Sector 419. Threat level, extreme. "This recording was taken by a survey team 3 years ago," Taven explained. "They barely escaped with their lives. I want you all to listen carefully. Try to remember this sound. If you ever hear it in the wild, you must leave the area immediately." He pressed a button. The classroom speakers came to life. A screeching, yowling call filled the room. It was high-pitched at first, then dropped lower. It sounded again, echoing slightly. The call was long and wavering, rising and falling in pitch. The reaction was immediate. Nira's skin flashed bright yellow in fear. Her 4 arms wrapped around herself. Krell's plates locked so tight that Minho could hear them grinding together. Several other students actually stood up from their seats, their various species showing signs of panic. The sound played for about 10 seconds, then stopped. The silence after was heavy. Nobody moved. Everyone was staring at the speakers like the predator might actually come through them. Everyone except Minho. He had looked up when the sound started. He listened for a few seconds. His head tilted slightly to one side. Then he smiled. A small laugh escaped his lips. "Oh, that's just a cougar," he said, his voice carrying clearly in the quiet room. "We have those back home. They're pretty shy, actually. You barely ever see them." 30 pairs of eyes turned to look at him. Some students had eyes on stalks. Some had compound eyes. Some had 3 or 4 eyes. But all of them were staring at Minho in shock. Taven's antennae went completely still. That was the Centaurian equivalent of a human's jaw dropping open. "I'm sorry," Taven said slowly. "Could you repeat that?" Minho suddenly realized everyone was looking at him. His face got a bit red. I just said that's a cougar. Mountain lion, puma. They have a lot of names. They live in the mountains and forests on Earth. I've heard them before when I was camping with my family." "You have heard this sound before," Taven said. It wasn't a question. He was trying to process this information. "This Class 7 predator lives on your homeworld." "Well, yeah," Minho said. He was confused now. Why was this a big deal? Is something wrong? Taven didn't answer. Instead, he turned to his control panel and started typing quickly. On the main screen, files began to appear. Official Galactic Coalition documents. Minho could see the Earth symbol on them. "Your planet is registered as Earth, correct?" Taven asked. "Yes, sir." "And you are from a region called Pacific Northwest?" "Born and raised," Minho said. "Near the mountains." Taven pulled up more files. A map of Earth appeared on the screen. Then a database of species. The professor's antennae started trembling as he read through the information. Class 7 ambush predator. Native range covers multiple climate zones. Taven read aloud. Solitary hunter. Capable of taking prey twice its body weight. Jaw strength capable of crushing bone. Retractable claws measuring up to 4 centimeters. Vertical leap of 5 meters. Horizontal leap of 12 meters. With each line Taven read, the other students looked more horrified. Nira had gone completely white. Krell's armor plates were vibrating. And this creature lives where you grew up, Taven said to Minho. Well, yeah, but like I said, they're shy, Minho explained. My dad saw one once when he was hiking. It just looked at him and ran away. They don't really bother people unless you corner them or get near their babies. You're more likely to get hurt by a deer than a cougar. A deer, Taven repeated. What is a deer? Oh, they're these plant eaters with horns, Minho said. Well, antlers, technically. They look harmless, but during mating season, the males get aggressive. A guy in my town got charged by one and broke his leg. Taven's antennae drooped. He turned back to his console and started typing again. The search parameters changed. Now he was looking at Earth's full predator database. The list that appeared made several students gasp. It kept scrolling, and scrolling, and scrolling. 312, Taven said quietly. Your planet has 312 species of carnivorous mammals alone. This does not include reptiles, amphibians, birds, or marine predators. Is that a lot? Minho asked. He had never really thought about it. A lot? A student named Vex spoke up. He was from a species that looked like a bipedal lizard. My entire planet has 4 predator species, 4, and we consider it a dangerous world. The average planet in the Coalition has between 1 and 15 predator species, Taven said. He was still staring at the screen. Earth has over 2,000 if we count all categories. The room went silent again. Minho felt very uncomfortable now. Everyone was looking at him differently, not with the friendly curiosity they usually had when they met the human student. This was something else. Fear? Suspicion? How do you live there? Nira asked quietly. Her voice shook a little. How do you survive? Minho shrugged. I don't know. You just do. I mean, yeah, you have to be careful when you go hiking. Don't leave food out for bears. Make noise so you don't surprise animals. Keep your distance from wildlife. But mostly they leave you alone if you leave them alone. You go into their territory on purpose? Krell asked. For recreation? Sure. Hiking, camping, fishing. It's fun. Fun, Krell repeated. He sounded like he was testing out a foreign word he didn't understand. Professor Taven closed the files and turned back to the class. His antennae were still trembling slightly. I think we need to end today's lesson early. I need to do some additional research. Minho, could you please stay after class? I have some questions. As the other students filed out, they gave Minho a wide space. Nobody wanted to walk too close to him. He heard them whispering in the hallway. Words like Death World and Predator Planet floated back. Minho sat at his desk, confused and a bit hurt. All he had done was recognize a cougar call. How had that led to this? Taven approached him slowly, carefully, like Minho might suddenly attack. I think we need to have a longer conversation about your homeworld, the professor said. There are things about Earth that are not in the standard files. Things that I believe the rest of the galaxy needs to understand. Minho nodded, still not sure what was happening. He just knew that his life at the academy had suddenly gotten very complicated. All because of a cougar's cry. Professor Taven's office was small but comfortable. The walls were covered with specimens in cases and star maps, showing explored regions of the galaxy. Minho sat in a chair that was slightly too large for him. It had been made for Centaurians who were taller than humans. Taven sat behind his desk, his fingers moving across his computer terminal. His antennae kept twitching as he read. Every few seconds he would stop, look at Minho, then go back to reading. The door opened and another human walked in. Minho recognized her immediately. Professor Unipark was the only other human on the station. She taught xenoanthropology, which was the study of how different species understood each other. Taven called me, Una said to Minho with a small smile. He said something interesting happened in class today. I just identified a sound, Minho said. He still felt confused about the whole situation. I didn't mean to cause any trouble. You didn't cause trouble, Una said, taking a seat next to him. You just revealed something that most species in the galaxy don't know about Earth. What do you mean? Taven turned his screen so both humans could see it. This is the official file on Earth that most Coalition members can access. It lists your planet as a Class 3 integration world. Moderate biodiversity. Standard environmental challenges, suitable for most species with minor atmospheric adjustments. That sounds about right, Minho said. Now look at this, Taven said, pulling up another file. This one had red borders and warning symbols. This is the restricted file, the one that requires special clearance to view. The new file painted a very different picture of Earth. Words jumped out at Minho. Extreme predator density. Hostile. Megafauna. Dangerous environmental variables. High risk. Death world classification. A death world? Minho asked. Really? By galactic standards, absolutely, Yuna said. Taven, show him the predator comparison chart. Taven pulled up a graph. It showed different planets and their predator populations. Most planets had small bars. Earth's bar went off the top of the chart. The average habitable planet has about 8 to 10 apex predators, Taven explained. Apex predators are the top hunters in their environment. Earth has over 50, and that's just counting the ones currently alive. Your fossil record shows even more dangerous creatures that went extinct. The dinosaurs, Minho said. Yes. Some of which were the largest land predators ever recorded in the explored galaxy. Taven pulled up an image of a Tyrannosaurus rex skeleton. This creature would be classified as a Class 9 threat. There are only 3 other known Class 9 predators in all explored space. None of them are on inhabited worlds. Minho looked at the skeleton. He had seen them in museums back home. They were cool, sure, but they had been dead for millions of years. But they're extinct. They're not dangerous anymore. That's not the point, Yuna said gently. The point is that they existed at all. Most planets never evolved predators that large. The fact that Earth did, and that smaller species survived alongside them, tells us something important about your planet. What does it tell you? That everything on Earth had to become very good at survival, Taven said. Including your ancestors. The professor pulled up a new file. This one showed human evolution. Images of early hominids appeared on the screen. Australopithecus, Homo habilis, Homo erectus, Neanderthals. Finally, modern humans. Your species evolved in Africa, correct? Taven asked. That's what the science says, Minho agreed. Africa, a continent that still hosts lions, leopards, hyenas, crocodiles, hippos, and dozens of other predators. Some of the most dangerous creatures on your planet all live in the region where humans first developed. Taven's antennae quivered. How did your species survive? We got smart, Minho said. We made tools. We learned to work together. Yes, but there's more than that, Yuna said. She took over the presentation, pulling up new data. Humans developed something that's very rare in the galaxy. We became persistence hunters. What's that? Minho asked. It means we chase prey until it gets too tired to run anymore, Yuna explained. Most predators in the galaxy are ambush hunters or pack hunters. They're fast for short distances, but humans can run for hours, days even. We just keep going until the animal we're hunting collapses from exhaustion. Taven made a sound like a whistle. This is extremely unusual. Most intelligent species evolved from prey animals. They learned to think so they could hide better, run better, avoid predators better. But humans evolved from something that was both predator and prey. We hunted and we were hunted, Yuna said. That shaped everything about us. Our forward-facing eyes for tracking prey. Our endurance for long chases. Our ability to throw with accuracy to bring down food or defend ourselves. Our social structures for coordinated hunting. Even our ability to sweat, which most species don't have, lets us cool down while running, so we can keep going longer than any other animal. Minho had never thought about any of this before. He just thought of himself as a regular guy, but hearing it described this way made humans sound almost scary. There's something else, Taven said quietly. He pulled up a medical file. Human pain tolerance and healing capabilities are far above galactic average. You can lose up to 40% of your blood and survive. You can break bones and they heal back even stronger. You can survive without food for weeks, without water for days. Your immune system fights off diseases that would kill most other species. Many humans on Earth don't even realize this isn't normal, Yuna added. We think everyone is like this. But they're not. A broken bone can be career-ending for a Centaurian. The flu that a human recovers from in a week might kill a Delphian. Our bodies are built to survive damage that would be fatal to most species. But why was all this kept secret? Minho asked. Why do the files make Earth sound less dangerous than it is? Taven and Yuna exchanged looks. Finally, Taven spoke. When humanity applied to join the Galactic Coalition, There was significant opposition. 17 species voted against your admission. 3 species threatened to leave the coalition entirely if humans were allowed to join. What? Why? Because they were afraid, Una said simply. They saw Earth's predator population. They saw human capabilities. And they were terrified. They thought humans would be violent, aggressive, dangerous to other species. But we're not, Minho protested. Humans are peaceful. We haven't had a major war in almost a century. We're friendly. We know that, Una said. But try to see it from their perspective. Most intelligent species evolved on relatively safe worlds. They never had to deal with constant predator pressure. They never had to become hunters themselves just to survive. So when they see a species that did, a species that evolved to chase prey for days, to work together to bring down animals larger than themselves, to survive injuries that would kill others, they get scared. The compromise was this, Taven said, gesturing to the restricted file. The coalition agreed to let humans join, but the full information about Earth would be classified. New members would only see the basic file. The dangerous details would only be shared with those who had appropriate clearance. The hope was that other species would meet humans, see that they were peaceful, and the fear would fade naturally over time. Has it worked? Minho asked. Mostly, Una said. Until today. You just casually identified a Class 7 predator as a common animal from your backyard. That's going to make people start asking questions. Minho put his head in his hands. I'm sorry. I really didn't mean to cause problems. Don't apologize, Taven said firmly. You did nothing wrong. In fact, I think this might be a good thing. These secrets, they were going to come out eventually. Maybe it's time the galaxy learned the full truth about humanity. What do you mean? Minho looked up. I want to write a paper, Taven said. About human evolution, human capabilities, and human nature. I want to interview you about life on Earth. I want to show other species that yes, humans are from a death world. Yes, humans are capable of incredible things. But that doesn't make them monsters. What makes us then? Minho asked quietly. Una smiled. That's what we need to figure out. Because the thing is, Minho, humans are persistence predators who evolved on a death world. But you're also the species that makes art and music. You protect animals that can't protect themselves. You run into burning buildings to save strangers. You're complicated. And I think the galaxy needs to understand that. Taven nodded in agreement. Will you help me with this research? Minho thought about it. He thought about his classmates' reactions. The fear in their eyes. The way they had moved away from him. He didn't want people to be afraid of him. But he also didn't want to hide what humanity was. Okay, he said finally. I'll help. But on one condition. What's that? We have to show them everything. Not just the scary parts. Everything that makes humans what we are. The good and the bad. The predator and the protector. All of it. Taven's antennae straightened up in what Minho had learned was a Centaurian smile. Agreed, we'll show them the whole truth. Though I warn you, some of that truth is going to surprise them. How so? The professor pulled up one more file. It showed videos from Earth. Humans hiking in mountains where bears lived. Humans swimming in oceans with sharks. Humans camping in jungles filled with predators. Humans running marathons, climbing mountains, exploring caves. 2 weeks passed quickly. During that time, Minho spent hours with Professor Taven, answering questions about Earth and human life. Some questions seemed normal. Others seemed very strange. Do humans really keep predators in their homes as companions? Taven had asked. You mean dogs and cats? Sure, dogs evolved from wolves. Cats are basically small predators, but they're domesticated now. They're our friends. Taven had written that down with his antennae quivering in what Minho now recognized as confusion or disbelief. Now it was the day of the presentation. Taven had requested a special assembly. The entire station's auditorium was filled. 500 students and faculty members from dozens of different species sat in the seats, talking quietly among themselves. Minho sat in the front row between Una and another human named Jun Lee. Jun was a security officer on the station, a stocky man with graying hair who had served in Earth's military before joining the coalition. Nervous? Jun asked quietly. Very, Minho admitted. What if everyone gets scared of humans after this? Then they get scared, Jun said calmly. But fear based on ignorance is worse than fear based on truth. At least with truth we can work with it. Una nodded in agreement. Besides, Taven isn't just going to present the scary facts. He's going to present all of it. Trust him. The lights dimmed and Taven walked onto the stage, Admiral Voth, the station commander, introduced him briefly. The admiral was a Threxian, covered in thick armor plating, and even he looked interested in what Taven was about to share. "Thank you all for coming," Taven began. "2 weeks ago, something happened in my xenobiology class that made me question what we think we know about one of the Coalition's newest member species. Humans have been part of our organization for over a century, but I realized we don't truly understand where they come from or what shaped them." The screen behind him lit up. A picture of Earth appeared, blue and green and beautiful. "This is Earth, home to approximately 8 billion humans, a Class 3 integration world by our standard classification. But today I want to show you what Earth really is." The image changed. Now it showed the restricted file classification. Red warnings covered the screen. Several people in the audience sat up straighter. Earth is what we call a death world. The full files are restricted to prevent panic among new Coalition members. But I believe this information should be known. Not to frighten anyone, but to help us understand our human colleagues better. Taven began his presentation methodically. He showed charts of predator populations, videos of Earth's creatures. The audience watched in growing shock as lions hunted zebras, as crocodiles lurked in rivers, as bears caught fish with their massive paws. "These are just a few of the thousands of predator species on Earth," Taven said. "And humans evolved alongside all of them." Then came the part Minho had helped prepare. Taven played the Cougar call again, the same one from class, but this time he had recorded Minho's reaction and explanation. "That's just a cougar," Minho's voice said from the speakers. "We have those back home." Taven paused the recording. "Just a cougar, a Class 7 ambush predator, and to humans it's just a common animal. This reaction tells us something important. Let me show you why." The presentation shifted to human evolution. Taven explained persistence hunting, showing videos of humans running marathons that lasted for hours. He showed the ancient technique of tracking prey until it collapsed. "Most species in this room can sprint faster than a human," Taven said, "but none of you can maintain even a moderate running pace for longer than 30 minutes. Humans have run continuously for over 48 hours in documented cases. They simply don't stop." A Delphian student named Neva raised her hand. "But humans seem so fragile. They have no armor, no natural weapons. How is this possible?" "An excellent question," Taven said. "Let me demonstrate. Junli, would you please join me on stage?" June stood up and walked to the stage. He moved with the careful, controlled movements of someone who had been a soldier. Next to Taven's tall, thin frame, June looked short and stocky. "June is a security officer here on the station," Taven said. "He has agreed to help me demonstrate human physical capabilities." "June, could you tell the audience your age?" "I'm 52 years old," June said calmly. 52. Past middle age for a human. Now June is going to perform a standard human military fitness test. This is what human soldiers are expected to be able to do. What followed left the audience speechless. June ran on a treadmill at a pace that would have exhausted most species in minutes. He kept it up for 30 minutes. Then he did exercises that demonstrated human strength, climbing ability, and endurance. Push-ups, pull-ups, lifting weights that seemed too heavy for his frame. When he finished, June wasn't even breathing that hard. He took a drink of water and smiled at the audience. "Thank you, June," Taven said. "Now here's the important part. June is not exceptional by human standards. He is, by his own description, in decent shape for his age. There are humans much younger, much stronger, much faster than him." The audience began whispering among themselves. Minho could hear the concern in their voices. Then someone stood up. It was Hyon, Minho's roommate. He was a Vespin, an insectoid species with 4 arms and large compound eyes. "I have lived with Minho for 6 months," Hyon said, his translator making his clicking speech into words everyone could understand. "I want to share something that I think is important." Taven gestured for him to continue. "The physical abilities are impressive, yes, but they're not what concerns me most about humans." Hyon paused. "What concerns me is that they don't seem to understand they're dangerous." "What do you mean?" Someone called out. "Minho gets by on 4 hours of sleep regularly. When I asked if he was sick, he said no. He just had a lot of studying." 4 hours. I need 8 hours minimum or I cannot function. He acts like this is normal," Hyon continued. "Last month Minho cut his hand badly in the workshop. It needed medical attention. But he finished his project first. He worked for 20 minutes with his hand bleeding. When I asked why he didn't go to medical immediately, he seemed confused. He said it wasn't that bad. More whispers from the audience. Humans can ignore pain that would incapacitate us, Hyan said. They can function on sleep deprivation that would cause us serious health problems. And they don't think any of this is unusual. That's what frightens me. Not that they're capable of these things, but that they think everyone is. Thank you, Hyan, Taven said. You've touched on something crucial. Humans don't perceive themselves as particularly dangerous or resilient. To them, this is all normal. The professor brought up a new slide. This one showed human threat responses compared to other species. When most species encounter danger, they freeze or flee. These are survival instincts. But humans have a third response that's very rare in intelligent species. They investigate. They move toward the danger to understand it. That's suicidal, someone in the audience said. By most species standards, yes, Taven agreed. But for humans, it's how they survived. They had to understand the predators around them. They had to learn which ones could be avoided, which ones could be scared away, which ones were truly dangerous. Running blindly would have gotten them killed. So they evolved to approach danger carefully, to study it, to figure out how to handle it. The presentation continued. Taven showed human medicine, human technology, human culture. He showed how humans had domesticated wolves into dogs, had turned some of Earth's predators into companions and helpers. They made friends with predators, Taven said. This is almost unique in the galaxy. Most species avoid predators at all costs. Humans brought them into their homes. Finally, Taven reached the conclusion of his presentation. The screen showed images of humans doing various activities, scientists in labs, artists creating paintings, parents with children, rescue workers helping in disasters. Here is what I want you to understand, Taven said. Yes, humans are from a death world. Yes, they are persistence predators. Yes, they are capable of things that would be impossible for most of us. But they are also capable of great compassion. They create art and music. They have philosophies about ethics and kindness. They protect those weaker than themselves. How do we know they won't become violent? Someone asked. They have all these predator instincts. What if they turn on us? It was Yuna who stood up to answer that question. She walked onto the stage and stood next to Taven. Because we choose not to, she said simply. Every day, every human in the coalition makes a choice. We could use our strength to harm others. We could use our endurance to pursue selfish goals. We could use our pain tolerance to push others aside. But we don't. We choose compassion instead. But why? The questioner persisted. What stops you? Because we know what it's like to be prey too, Yuna said. Human evolution wasn't just about being predators. We were hunted as well. We know what fear feels like. We understand vulnerability. That shaped our ethics just as much as our predator instincts did. We learned that the strong should protect the weak, not exploit them, June added, still standing on stage. Because we were both strong and weak depending on the situation. Admiral Voth stood up from his seat. The entire auditorium fell silent. When the station commander spoke, everyone listened. The days following Taven's presentation were difficult. The recording had spread through the station's network quickly. Soon everyone knew the truth about Earth and humanity, and not everyone took it well. Minho first noticed the change in his morning classes. Students who used to sit next to him now chose seats farther away. When he entered the cafeteria, conversations would stop. People would watch him carefully, like he might suddenly attack them. It hurt more than he expected. They're just scared, Yuna told him one afternoon. She had called a meeting of all 12 humans on the station. They gathered in a small conference room to discuss what was happening. Give them time to adjust. Time isn't helping, said Sunhee Choi, a graduate student in engineering. She was small and fierce, with short hair and quick movements. It's getting worse. 3 of my study groups asked me to leave. They said my presence was making the other members uncomfortable. Jiwon, a first-year student with a quiet voice, spoke up hesitantly. Someone left a message on my door. It said I should go back to my own kind, that I don't belong here. Who left it? June asked, his voice hard. It was anonymous, Jiwon said, but I think I know who. There's a group of upper-year students who have been talking about humans being dangerous. They want the administration to do something about us. Do something, Minho repeated. Like what? Like segregation, Sunhee said bitterly. They want human students in separate dorms. They want us out of certain classes. They're calling it a safety measure, but we all know what it really is. Discrimination. Yuna sighed heavily. I've been hearing the same concerns from faculty. Some professors don't want humans in their classes. They say it makes other students too nervous to learn properly. This is exactly what I was afraid of, Minho said quietly. I just answered a question in class. Now everyone thinks we're monsters. We're not monsters, June said firmly. And we're not going to act like we are. We're also not going to hide or apologize for what we are. We're human. That's not a crime. But what do we do? Jiwon asked. How do we fix this? Soon-hee stood up, determination in her eyes. We show them who we really are. Not just the facts and statistics from Taven's presentation. We show them humans as people. Kind people. Helpful people. People they don't need to fear. How? Someone asked. We volunteer, Soon-hee said. We help out around the station. We show them through our actions that we're not a threat. Words won't convince them, but maybe actions will. It was a good plan. The humans started volunteering wherever they could. Minho began tutoring younger students in mathematics. June offered self-defense classes, teaching other species how to protect themselves. Yuna gave free lectures on human culture and philosophy. Soon he organized a cooking event where humans made Earth food for other species to try. They were careful to avoid anything too spicy or predatory. No rare steaks or anything that might remind people where humans came from. For a few days it seemed to be working. Some students started warming up to them again. The whispers in the hallways decreased slightly. Then the incident happened. It was a Tuesday afternoon. Minho was in the library studying when the alarms went off. Not the fire alarm, the emergency alarm. The one that meant something had gone seriously wrong. His datapad lit up with an emergency alert. Airlock malfunction. Section 7B, emergency services responding. Minho didn't think. He just ran. Section 7B was near the engineering labs where Jiwon spent most of her time. He had to make sure she was okay. When he reached Section 7B, he found chaos. Students and faculty were evacuating the area. Emergency barriers were coming down. And through a window, Minho could see someone trapped in the airlock chamber. It was Neva, the Delphian student from Taven's class. She was pounding on the inner door, her skin flashing bright red in panic. The airlock was malfunctioning. The outer door was starting to open. When it did, the chamber would depressurize. Neva would be sucked out into space. Someone help her. A student was shouting. The door is jammed. Emergency services are 3 minutes away, someone else yelled. She doesn't have 3 minutes. Minho looked at the door controls. They were sparking, clearly damaged. The manual override was right there, but it would require forcing the door mechanism. The handle was thick metal, designed to withstand enormous pressure. No one is strong enough to force it, the first student cried. We need equipment! We don't have time, Minho said. Before anyone could stop him, he grabbed the manual override handle. It didn't budge. He planted his feet, gripped harder, and pulled with everything he had. Pain shot through his arms and shoulders. The metal was cutting into his palms. He could feel something tearing in his shoulders, probably ligaments or tendons. But he didn't stop. He kept pulling. The handle moved. Just a little at first, then more. Minho felt something pop in his left arm and nearly blacked out from the pain. But the door was opening. With a final heave that made him scream, the door flew open. Neva tumbled through into the corridor. The emergency barrier slammed down behind her, sealing off the malfunctioning airlock. Minho fell to his knees, his arms hanging useless at his sides. He could see blood on his hands where the metal had cut him. His vision was getting blurry. Someone get medical, he heard a voice say from far away. The human is injured. Then everything went dark. When Minho woke up, he was in the medical bay. His arms were bandaged and suspended in some kind of support system. Everything hurt. Easy, a voice said. It was the station's doctor, a four-armed Civian named Telk. You tore several ligaments in both arms. You also fractured your left wrist and right shoulder. You'll heal, but you need to rest. Is Neva okay? Minho asked. She's fine, thanks to you. You saved her life. The door opened and Neva herself came in. Her skin was pale blue now, which Minho had learned meant she was calm but serious. You pulled that door open, she said quietly. Everyone said it was impossible. The engineers said it would take 3 people with proper equipment to force that mechanism. I had to try, Minho said. You were in danger, but why? Neva asked, and Minho heard real confusion in her voice. My people have been avoiding you. We've been treating you badly since the presentation. We've been scared of you. And you still risked your life to save me. Why? Minho thought about it. He thought about his dad's words about strength and responsibility. He thought about what it meant to be human. Because you needed help, he said finally. That's all. You needed help and I could help you. Nothing else mattered. Neva's skin flickered with colors Minho didn't know. Then she did something surprising. She reached out and gently touched his hand. I'm sorry, she said. I'm sorry for being afraid. I'm sorry for judging you. You are not what I thought you were. What did you think I was? A predator, Neva said. Something dangerous. Something to fear. But I was wrong. You are dangerous, yes, but not to those who don't threaten you. You're dangerous to those who would hurt others. You're a protector. I'm just a guy who pulled a door open, Minho said, embarrassed. No, Neva said firmly. You're someone who destroyed your own body to save a stranger. A stranger who had been cruel to you. That's not just anything. That's extraordinary. After Neva left, more visitors came. Soon he brought him food from Earth. June came to check on him. Yuna updated him on what was happening on the station. Neva has been telling everyone what you did, Yuna said. She recorded a message and put it on the station network. People are seeing you differently now. How? Minho asked. They're starting to understand. Yes, humans are strong. Yes, humans are resilient. But those traits don't make you cruel. They make you capable of protecting others even at great cost to yourself. Jiwan visited later that evening. She looked guilty. I heard what you did, she said. You could have been killed. That door could have broken your arms completely. You could have been pulled into the airlock with her. But I wasn't, Minho said. Why did you do it? Minho realized he was tired of that question. But he answered anyway. Because when someone is in danger, you help them. That's what we do. That's what humans do. We run toward the screaming, not away from it. Jiwan smiled and Minho saw tears in her eyes. My family always said that was our weakness. That humans care too much, try to help too much, risk too much for others. But maybe it's not a weakness. Maybe it's our greatest strength. Maybe it's both, Minho said. Maybe it's complicated. Like everything else about being human, Jiwan agreed. As Minho lay in the medical bay, his arms throbbing with pain, he thought about what had happened. The fear after Taven's presentation, the discrimination, and now this. He didn't know if one rescue would change everything. But maybe it was a start. Maybe people would start to see that being dangerous and being kind weren't opposites. Maybe they would understand that humans chose to be gentle, chose to help, chose to protect. Maybe they would see that the scariest thing about humans wasn't their strength. It was their willingness to sacrifice that strength for others. His datapad buzzed with a message. It was from Admiral Voth. Well done, young human. You have shown us all what it truly means to be strong. Minho smiled despite the pain and closed his eyes. Tomorrow would bring new challenges. But for now, he had done what his father had taught him. He had used his strength to protect someone weaker. And that was enough. 2 months had passed since Minho pulled open the airlock door. His arms had healed, though Dr. Telk said he was amazed at how quickly. Apparently, humans healed faster than most species in the galaxy. Minho was learning there were a lot of things humans did that others found surprising. The station felt different now. Better. Not perfect, but better. Minho walked through the cafeteria on his way to class and noticed the changes. Humans sat mixed in with other species now. No more separate sections. No more empty space around them. Nira from his xenobiology class waved at him from a table where she sat with 2 humans and a Thexian. Minho, come sit with us, she called out. He joined them, setting down his tray of food. Real Earth food this time. Not the bland stuff he had been eating to avoid making others uncomfortable. Today he had spicy noodles, the kind his mom used to make. Is that the Korean dish you told me about? Nira asked, leaning forward to look. The one with the red sauce? Kimchi noodles, Minho confirmed. Want to try some? A few months ago, Nira would have been too scared to eat human food. Now she nodded eagerly. Minho gave her a small portion. She tried it and her skin flashed bright orange. That's amazing, she said. So much flavor. Why did you stop making food like this? I thought it might scare people, Minho admitted. After Taven's presentation, I wanted to seem less, I don't know, less human, I guess. That's sad, said Krell, the Thexian student. Your food is wonderful. Your culture is wonderful. We were stupid to make you hide it. You weren't stupid, Minho said. You were scared. That's different. Perhaps, Krell said. But we should have tried to understand before we judged. After lunch, Minho headed to his favorite class. It had started as Taven's xenobiology course, but it had evolved into something else. Now it was called Comparative Species Studies, and it was the most popular elective on the station. The classroom was packed. Taven stood at the front, his antennae waving and greeting as students filed in. "Today we have a special topic," Taven announced once everyone was seated. "We're going to discuss ethical evolution. How do different species develop their moral systems based on their environmental pressures?" It was a fascinating lecture. Taven explained how species that evolved as prey tended to develop ethics based on community and cooperation. Everyone had to work together to survive. Species that evolved as solitary hunters often developed ethics based on personal honor and individual strength. "And what about humans?" a student asked. "Where do human ethics come from?" Taven gestured to Yuna, who was guest lecturing today. She stood up and smiled at the class. "That's a complicated question," Yuna said, "because humans were both predator and prey. We hunted, but we were also hunted. This gave us a unique perspective." She pulled up images on the screen. Ancient human cave paintings showing hunts. Pictures of early human tribes gathering together. "We learned that we were stronger together," Yuna explained. "A single human could be killed by a lion or bear. But a group of humans working together could drive off almost any predator. So we developed strong social bonds. We learned to cooperate." "But you also learned to hunt," another student said. "Doesn't that make you more aggressive?" "Actually, no," Yuna said. "Hunting required cooperation, too. You couldn't chase an antelope for hours by yourself. You needed a team, someone to track, someone to cut off escape routes, someone to finish the hunt. Our hunting behavior reinforced our social nature." "There's something else, too," Yuna continued. "Because we were both hunter and hunted, we developed empathy. We knew what it felt like to be afraid. We knew what it felt like to be vulnerable. This shaped our ethics in a profound way." She pulled up a quote on the screen. It was from an ancient Earth philosopher named Marcus Aurelius. "The best revenge is to be unlike him who performed the injury." Many human philosophies share a common theme, Yuna said. The strong should protect the weak. Those who have power should use it responsibly. Those who can hurt others should choose not to. This comes from understanding both sides, the predator and the prey. A Delphian student raised her hand. "But don't humans still have violent instincts? Don't you still want to hunt and fight?" "Of course we do," Yuna said honestly. "Those instincts don't just disappear, but having an instinct and acting on it are two different things. Every day humans make choices. We feel anger, but we don't lash out. We feel fear, but we don't run away. We feel the urge to compete, but we cooperate instead. That's what civilization is. It's choosing our better nature over our instincts." After class, Minho walked with Hyun back to their dorm. His roommate had become one of his closest friends on the station. "I was thinking about something," Hyun said as they walked. "When I first met you, I thought you were weak. No armor, no natural weapons, soft skin. I actually felt sorry for you." "And now?" Minho asked. "Now I realize you don't need armor because you heal so fast. You don't need natural weapons because you can make tools. Your soft skin doesn't matter because you can tolerate pain that would kill me. You're not weak. You just don't look strong in the ways I expected." They reached their room and Hyun continued talking as he settled into his desk chair. "But there's something else I've learned. Something more important than physical strength." "What's that?" "You choose to be kind even when you don't have to be. That's real strength. Anyone can use force when they're strong enough. But choosing not to. Choosing to help instead of hurt. That takes something special." Minho felt his face get warm. He wasn't used to compliments like that. "I'm not special. I'm just doing what anyone would do." "No," Hyun said firmly. "You're doing what any human would do. That's different. And that's what makes your species remarkable." Later that week, Minho attended a lecture by Ambassador Theln. The Centaurian diplomat had spent the past 2 months studying humanity and interviewing human students and faculty. The auditorium was full again, just like for Taven's presentation. But the mood was different this time. There was curiosity instead of fear, interest instead of suspicion. "I have submitted my report to the Coalition Council," Theln announced. "It will take time for them to review and respond. But I want to share my conclusions with you first." He pulled up his report on the main screen. The title read, "Humanity, a Reassessment of Threat and Potential." "My original assignment was to determine if humans posed a danger to the Coalition," Theln said. "After 2 months of research, I have my answer. Yes, humans are dangerous, but not in the way we feared. The audience leaned forward, listening intently. Humans are dangerous because they set impossible standards. Thelen continued. They run toward danger when others run away. They sacrifice their own well-being to protect strangers. They choose compassion over aggression even when aggression would benefit them more. They make the rest of us look selfish by comparison. A ripple of surprised laughter went through the audience. But seriously, Thelen said, his tone becoming more earnest. I believe humanity's addition to the coalition is not just beneficial but essential. They bring something we desperately need. They bring the perspective of beings who have been both predator and prey. They understand power and vulnerability. They know when to fight and when to protect. He pulled up statistics on the screen. Since humans joined the coalition, they have served in every major peacekeeping operation. They volunteer for the most dangerous assignments. They have the highest rate of commendations for bravery and the highest rate of injuries sustained protecting others. They are statistically the most likely species to risk their own lives to save someone else. Some species see this as reckless, Thelen continued, but I see it differently. I see a species that has made a choice. They could use their abilities for conquest. They could dominate weaker species. But they don't, they protect instead. They serve instead. They sacrifice instead. He paused and looked directly at the human section of the audience. You are not perfect. No species is, but you are trying to be better. Every day you choose to be gentle even though you could be fierce. You choose to help even when it costs you. That is worth more than any physical strength. Minho felt tears in his eyes. He wasn't the only one. Looking around, he saw several other humans wiping their eyes. My recommendation to the coalition is this, Thelen said. The restrictions on Earth's information should be lifted. All species should know the truth about humanity. Not to frighten them, but to help them understand. And we should learn from humans. Learn their philosophy of using strength to protect. Learn their practice of running toward danger instead of away from it. Learn their choice to be kind despite every reason to be cruel. The presentation ended with thunderous applause, not just from humans, but from everyone in the auditorium. After the lecture, Minho found himself surrounded by students wanting to talk, asking questions about Earth, about human culture, about what it was like to grow up on a death world. Nira pulled him aside. I wanted to apologize again, she said, for how I acted after Taven's first presentation. I was afraid of you. But I understand now. You're not a monster. You're just a person who happens to be very capable. You don't need to keep apologizing, Minho said gently. You learned and grew. That's all anyone can do. There's something else, Nira said. I've started jogging with June in the mornings. He's teaching me human endurance techniques. I'll never be